Welcome back to another conversation here at the MinnSPRA Spring Conference. I'm here with Donnie from the Minneapolis Public Schools District, and thank you so very much for sitting down with me today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Can you tell me just a little bit in like a nutshell, 10,000 foot view, what's your career path been like? How did you get started in schools, and how did that lead to kind of where you are today as the School Communicator of the Year?
So thank you. When I think about where it all started for me, it was really in high school. I thought growing up I wanted to be an attorney until I had an internship the summer before ninth grade with a law firm and realized pretty quickly that you don't spend any time really in court. And what I thought about that career was I was totally misinformed and realized I kind of got bit by the teacher bug, I would say, when I was in high school, and decided that I wanted to become a teacher. And so when I graduated from high school, and I graduated from an MPS school, North High School, went to college in Chicago, earned my teacher licensure, and ended up teaching for 12 years in the Chicago public school system. And then from there...
What grades did you teach?
So I taught 9th through 12th grade.
Oof, tough,
My favorite grade to teach was 9th grade. My favorite thing to teach was Shakespeare and Greek mythology.
I love that. You would have been my favorite teacher in high school.
So committed to that, loved that work for 12 years, and then went into the nonprofit sector, left the classroom in 2014, and then I still worked with young people. That's kind of been the thread throughout my entire career. And then decided I wanted to come back to the school system, but on the administrative side. And started with Minneapolis as Director of Communications, now Executive Director of Communications and Engagement, and couldn't be more aligned and fulfilled in my career.
I love that. Was there something specific you did in the nonprofit world that led you to school communications rather than maybe going back and being a teacher again or whatnot?
Great question. And absolutely, I did. When I taught English and writing. And so I've always loved writing, always loved communicating. Also did freelance work throughout my entire career. So I've always been a writer as well. And then in the nonprofit world, I was a program director. So a lot of grant writing, a lot of curriculum writing. And then I kind of decided I just missed schools. I've always loved school and just wanted to be closer to the classroom, but not in the classroom. And that's where I saw the communications school PR opportunity and thought that would be a good fit for me. And it has been.
Yeah, awesome. You know, I'm interested on your perspective about school communications in a large district. I think there's just a lot of districts that fall into what I would call the mid-size level. These large districts have a different challenge. There's so many different cultures within the different schools and within the different neighborhoods that they serve. You're obviously tied into things going on with Minneapolis as a city and St. Paul right next door. Just what has been maybe surprising or unique about the large district experience for you?
So I will definitely say, when you talk about the size of a district and scale, it's really interesting, right? Because here in Minnesota, Minneapolis Public Schools we're one of the largest, sort of top 5 in the state. But then I worked as a teacher in Chicago Public Schools, which was,
much bigger.
5 times to 6 times larger, right? And so when it comes to a larger school district, the thing that really surprised me the most, what I would say would probably be the sheer volume of just platforms, the kind of the scale and the scope of communication is incredible, right? When you're talking about 28,000 students, when you're talking about 3,000 to 4,000 staff, the need for communication, it's just sort of a greater need. That being said, we have an incredible team. I just think that in a larger school district, the kind of the volume of output is a little bit higher.
Everything's dialed up to 10.
Absolutely. And I think about it when I connect with other colleagues. what we experience in a single school year may be a once in a career sort of opportunity
Yeah.
for others,
Yeah.
which is great. I think there's a lot of opportunity and learning in that. And in fact, many MPS alums then go on to work at smaller districts,
Sure.
right? Because they have the experience, they have working with different communities and all of that. It becomes an asset.
Yeah.
When and if you do decide to move around.
Yeah. I know for school communicators in general, it's kind of a 24/7, 365 type job. When you're working with that volume of needs and, different people to communicate to, how do you protect your own space? How do you keep something of a work-life balance in place?
Yes.
And how do you stay recharged in order to do this year after year after year?
Yeah, so really, really great question, because absolutely, school communicators are always on, and we as a sort of unit, there is no such thing, right, as totally being off.
Yeah.
So when it comes to work-life balance, I think the key is to really build strong structures, strong systems that allow for other people to be able to step in and help support the work. So what does that look like, in practice? For our team, we have 11 people on our team, there isn't a job that multiple people aren't trained to do, right? And so there may be a person who is sort of primary on a platform
Sure.
or on a newsletter or that sort of thing. There's always a second person and sometimes even a third person
Yep.
who knows how to do it, and they can kind of give relief
Yep.
to those people. So those are kind of, I think, strategic structures that you can put in place. The other thing I will say is we also have to help hold each other accountable. And I think our team is really good about when people are off, honoring that,
Yeah.
right? It's as easy as it is to send a text or an email, just to be mindful that like people do need that time off. A, they've earned it,
Right.
and then B, it is healthy.
And golden rule, I'm going to not bug you when you're off so that when I'm off, like I can have my peace as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, and I do think that that's also a great testament to a team when things aren't sort of solely dependent on one person.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
love that. Tell me a little bit about some of the big wins that you've had. What are some things that you're particularly proud of, maybe even from this last year or, all the years that you've been with Minneapolis?
So much to be proud
Yeah.
of. But I will start with the thing that is really exciting. And about a year ago, we had a new superintendent, Dr. Lisa Sells-Adams, who started with Minneapolis Public Schools. And she sort of was very curious about our reputation out in the community.
Yeah.
And so we started asking ourselves, how do you measure that? Like, how do you measure reputation? And decided that we were going to look at our media mentions.
Okay.
And at the time, February of 2024, only 12% of the media stories about Minneapolis Public Schools were positive. 12%.
It must have been tough to look in the eye and just accept that's the truth.
Very tough,
Yeah.
right? And I think, we talked a little bit earlier about being one of the larger school districts. I also think that some of that is also what comes along
Sure.
with being
Yep.
larger. But 12% was incredibly low.
Yeah.
And I think anecdotally, we all kind of knew and felt that we did not have the public perception and reputation that we had hoped. But to be able to actually distill that down to
Right.
a number and a metric was really important. And so we started a We're MPS campaign. And I'm excited to share that at this point, we are now at 42%.
Wow.
So our team built an incredible strategy in order to increase
Yeah.
those positive stories that we all know. If you're like me and you're an alum of Minneapolis Public Schools, if you're a teacher, right, you know that there are incredible things that happen in the district. It's just
Yes.
that those stories aren't always prioritized or
Right.
told. So I would say that that's probably my most proud sort of moment or work in this last year. Outside of that, we've been doing really, really great work with increasing the stories and awareness about our staff, about our students, about our families.
Yeah.
It's been a banner year for awards for the district. So in, in counting, we've had about 8 of the year winners.
Wow.
So we've got a couple of principal of the
Yeah.
year winners, a librarian of the year, a school psychologist of the year. So again, when we tell our story and when staff are recognized for the great work that they do, that all helps to amplify the
Yeah.
great work of a school district.
Well, and I love the fact that it's because of an intentional campaign. It's not, oh, we just kind of stumbled into this. Like you saw a need, you honored the need and you addressed it, and now you're reaping the rewards of that hard work. That's a really cool, because I think there's so much in communications that's soft skills and soft data, and it's hard to know, did we actually make the impact we were hoping to make? So
Absolutely.
It's really cool that you have the actual data to back it up.
Thank you. And we are now every 6 months we are checking on sort of the status of that work.
Yeah.
And we have one of the people on our team is a media relations coordinator, right? So she now has sort of this really important metric that informs the amount of pitching
Yeah.
she's doing. It's just a really technical kind of approach to communications work.
Yeah.
And I'm very proud of that.
Awesome. Tell me a little bit just about why you value MinnSPRA and why you think this is maybe an organization people should be paying attention to if you're in school communications.
So I absolutely love MinnSPRA. When I think about being back in school districts on the administrative side, it can be an incredibly lonely
Yeah.
and kind of isolating journey, right? And so what MinnSPRA has brought to me and to so many others is community, safe space, the opportunity to be vulnerable
Yeah.
and to have really hard and courageous conversations with people who know exactly what the day-to-day life of
Yes.
being a school communicator means, and that is invaluable.
Yeah.
I had the opportunity to serve on MinnSPRA's board, and that was another really, really great professional development, leadership training experience. I'm still very much connected to all of the people who I served on the board with, because those relationships, when you're going through a challenge professionally,
Yeah.
to have a colleague that you can call to help think through some of those challenges, and a colleague who isn't so close, right? I think that you get different perspectives. We share templates, we share all kinds of resources with each other,
Yeah.
and MinnSPRA makes that possible.
Yeah. No, it's someone to vent to, someone to get wisdom from, someone to share resources with.
Yes.
It's a unique organization in that there are a lot of similar challenges, despite the size of district or location of district, that school
Absolutely.
communicators face, and this brings them together.
Absolutely. For example, we're now here at our spring conference, and I really think about our fall conference and our spring conference as sort of bookends,
Yeah.
to the school year, where when we have, we've gone through most of the school year together. This is a great time for us to learn,
Yep.
share ideas, connect, and there really is no other professional community that I belong to that has been as valuable to me as MinnSPRA.
I love it. Donnie, thank you so much for taking a few minutes to chat.
you.
It was so nice to meet you.
You too. And this is phenomenal. And thank you for the work that you're doing as well.
Well, thank you. Appreciate that.